When the truth is buried beneath layers of lies, only the shattered pieces of a woman's heart can unearth it. In a final battle where justice hangs by a thread and revenge is a double-edged sword, Claire must decide, will she rise from the ashes of betrayal, or let the fire consume everything she has left? Ava and Emma grew up in the quiet suburbs of Connecticut, raised by devoted parents who instilled in them a sense of family unity and personal excellence. Ava, the elder by 3 years, was always the golden child, graceful, academically brilliant, and effortlessly charming. Emma, though equally bright, lived in Ava's shadow, her accomplishments often overlooked in family conversations. Their bond was complex. They shared secrets, late-night laughs, and dreams about their future careers. Ava wanted to be a lawyer, Emma an architect, but the undercurrents of rivalry stirred beneath their sibling warmth. Every praise Ava received felt like a silent criticism of Emma, planting seeds of resentment she never fully acknowledged. Ava graduated from Yale Law with distinction and landed a position at a prestigious law firm in New York. Emma attended a top architecture school but struggled to find her footing after graduation. The economy was rough, clients were scarce, and Emma eventually settled for a position at a mid-sized firm in Boston. Despite everything, they stayed in touch, though Ava's texts became more sporadic and Emma's replies more curt. Emma often visited Ava in her sleek Manhattan apartment, always immaculately decorated and pulsing with the life Emma wished she had. Ava, always the gracious host, would offer her advice, lend her money, and sometimes gently suggest Emma aim higher. In 2022, Ava launched her legal consultancy, a bold move applauded by her peers. Surprisingly, she offered Emma a role, designing the interiors of her new office space. Emma accepted, flattered, and excited. Working together rekindled their bond temporarily. Emma poured her heart into the design, and Ava for once seemed to genuinely appreciate her sister's talent. When the office launched, it received attention from the local press, praising the design. Ava gave Emma a small credit, but never mentioned her by name in major interviews. It stung. Emma began dating a man named Adrian, a tech entrepreneur Ava had introduced at one of her networking events. Adrian and Emma clicked instantly. He was attentive, sharp, and genuinely intrigued by Emma's work. Their relationship blossomed, but Ava's demeanor began to shift. She was colder, more dismissive. One evening, while out for dinner, Ava dropped a cryptic comment. "Just be careful, Em. Adrian isn't as golden as he seems." Emma dismissed it as sisterly jealousy or overprotectiveness. But doubt lingered. Months passed. Emma and Adrian got engaged. During a dinner with both families, Ava smiled thinly but offered no toasts, no congratulations. That night, Emma received an anonymous message with screenshots, texts between Ava and Adrian. They'd been seeing each other behind her back for months. Emma's world imploded. She confronted Adrian, who didn't deny it. "It just happened," he said, as though that explained everything. Emma stormed out. Her calls to Ava went unanswered until she showed up at her apartment. "You have everything," Emma yelled. "Why him too?" Ava's face was unreadable. "He never loved you, Em. You were a placeholder." The words landed like knives. Emma disappeared from the social scene. She left Boston, cutting ties with friends, taking freelance gigs under a pseudonym. Her heart was a battlefield, torn between grief and fury. She kept tabs on Ava, who was now dating Adrian publicly. They traveled together, featured in magazines and co-hosted panels. Every post felt like a dagger. Emma wasn't content with licking her wounds. She started plotting, not rashly but meticulously. She learned everything about Adrian's tech company, its funding, and its legal vulnerabilities. She uncovered NDA violations, illicit data usage, and insider trading whispers. She also found dirt on Ava, unreported lobbying efforts, manipulation of legal cases, and forged financial reports. But revenge wouldn't be public, not yet. She wanted Ava to feel it intimately, slowly, the way. After a year in the shadows, Emma reemerged in New York, working quietly under an alias at a law tech consultancy that was quickly rising in profile. She orchestrated a meeting between her firm and Adrian's startup through intermediaries. They were desperate for funding and exposure. Emma's firm offered both, under tight legal conditions. Adrian signed without reading the fine print. Within weeks, the contract stipulations kicked in. Adrian's company had unknowingly agreed to a buyout clause. Emma's firm seized majority control. She revealed herself at the final meeting. Adrian's face paled. "Surprised to see me? You should read contracts more carefully." Ava arrived minutes later. Her shock morphed into rage. "You'll regret this." Emma smiled. "I already did, for years, but not anymore." The echo in the hallways of Claire's house was unbearable. Her heels clicked against marble like a metronome of pain. Every painting, every vase, every cushion whispered betrayal. She sat on the edge of the bed, her fingertips brushing the cool, wrinkled sheets where Adam used to lie. The silence screamed louder than his lies ever could. She hadn't slept in 3 days. Her phone buzzed constantly. Texts from well-meaning friends, gossipy acquaintances, and even tabloids fishing for a comment. But it was Morgan's silence that hurt most. The woman she once considered family had not said a word. Claire opened her laptop. The law firm had already sent over the draft divorce papers. Attached was a property list, itemized down to silverware and gym equipment. Adam had made it clear he wanted his share. The home they'd built together, the businesses they co-founded, even the dogs. He wanted them divided like assets, not memories. She hovered over the list of legal firms she'd compiled. She didn't want just any attorney. She wanted the best. Someone ruthless. Someone who would tear Adam apart with words sharper than betrayal. When Claire first walked into the office of Evelyn Sharp, she felt like she was stepping into a courtroom dressed in Armani. Evelyn didn't smile. She read people like documents, analytically, efficiently, without emotion. She gestured to the chair opposite her desk. "I've read the case brief. You've been wronged. Now let's make sure it costs them." Claire sat down, startled. "Them?" Evelyn adjusted her glasses. "Your husband and your friend. They conspired. They moved money before the separation, didn't they?" Claire blinked. "How did you—" "I read your business ledger. I also read between the lines. We're dealing with fraud, asset concealment, and a potential RICO case if we can prove collusion. This isn't just a divorce, Claire. It's war." Claire sat back, heart pounding. For the first time in days, the nausea began to fade. "I want to destroy them." "Good," Evelyn said, tapping her Mont Blanc pen on the desk. "Then we begin. Discovery. And Claire, no mercy." Across the city, Adam sat in Morgan's penthouse, basking in the illusion of victory. His attorney, a smug corporate strategist named Kyle Landon, handed him a cigar as they reviewed Claire's filings. "She's playing hardball," Kyle said. "Sharp's aggressive, but we're prepared." "Let her try," Adam smirked. "She's angry. Anger clouds strategy." Morgan walked in, her robe loosely tied, eyes scanning the paperwork. "Do we have anything to worry about?" "Not if we keep our timeline straight. Claire has no idea when this started." Morgan nodded, but her fingers twitched. She was beginning to feel the heat under the spotlight. "She's not stupid, Adam, and we weren't exactly careful toward the end." Adam stood and walked over to her, hands resting on her shoulders. "We're together now. Let the past die." But as Morgan looked into his eyes, a cold realization began to creep in. She didn't feel safe. She felt trapped. 3 weeks into legal proceedings, Claire's team made their first move. An anonymous tip was sent to The Observer, one of the city's top investigative outlets. It included screenshots of financial transfers, internal emails, and, most damning, a time-stamped photo of Adam and Morgan kissing outside a hotel, dated 6 months before Adam claimed the affair began. The article exploded. Tech power couple implodes. Secret affair, financial lies, and divorce war. Headlines flooded every media outlet. Investors began backing out of Adam's new project. Sponsors withdrew. Morgan's public image, once that of a brilliant consultant and women's advocate, shattered overnight. A popular podcast resurfaced a 2020 clip of her preaching about female solidarity and loyalty. The irony scorched her credibility. Claire sat with Evelyn as the fallout played out on screens across the office. "You leaked it?" Claire asked. Evelyn didn't look up. "I gave them evidence. They found the fire." Claire almost smiled. Claire walked into the deposition room dressed not in mourning, but in muted power. No tears, no shakiness. Just calm fury. Adam looked thinner, exhausted. Morgan didn't show. Her legal team claimed emotional distress. Evelyn started the deposition with surgical strikes. "Mr. Brooks, when did your romantic relationship with Ms. Morgan Delaney begin?" Adam hesitated. "After my separation from Claire?" Claire leaned forward. "Would you care to look at this exhibit, Adam?" She passed him a blown-up photo. Dated. Clear. He flinched. Evelyn pressed. "Do you deny this image depicts you and Ms. Delaney on February 9th, 2023? That wasn't..." Claire's voice cut through. "You're under oath." Silence. Then, Evelyn added, "We also have financial records showing joint transfers to offshore accounts under both your names beginning January 2023. Care to explain?" Adam glanced at his lawyer. Kyle whispered furiously, "Don't answer. Not now." But it was too late. The room was already suffocating with consequences. Morgan hadn't left her apartment in days. Reporters camped outside. Brands dropped her. Her firm placed her on indefinite leave. She watched comment after comment call her a traitor, a homewrecker, a fraud. Then came the lawsuit. Claire filed a civil suit for intentional infliction of emotional distress and professional sabotage, backed by emails, showing Morgan had advised Adam on undercutting Claire's position on the board before they announced the divorce. Morgan screamed and threw her wine glass at the TV. "This isn't justice. It's revenge." Her assistant quietly walked out. She was alone now. Even Adam hadn't come by in days. Claire's world was still chaotic, but she was regaining control. Evelyn called her into the office on a Tuesday morning, her tone tight. "They've made a settlement offer." Claire narrowed her eyes. "How much?" "Half of everything. Full ownership of the joint business. NDA clause." Claire leaned back. "They're scared." "They should be. But there's more. Adam wants the dogs." Claire laughed, bitter and cold. "Tell him no. Tell him I'd rather die." Evelyn nodded. "Thought you'd say that." Claire stared out the window. Her hand clenched the chair's armrest. "Not yet. I don't want their money. I want their truth out in the open, all of it." Evelyn smiled for the first time. "Then we go to trial." Desperate, Morgan arranged a private meeting with Claire. It took weeks and a handwritten letter. Claire agreed under strict conditions. They met in a quiet cafe on the edge of town. Morgan looked haggard. Eyes red, lips cracked. "I didn't plan to fall in love with him," she whispered. Claire didn't blink. "You planned to help him steal." Morgan looked away. "He lied to me, too. He said you'd moved on, that you wanted out, that he was empty, lonely. I was stupid. I believed him." Claire leaned forward. "You believed what you wanted to believe, and now you're drowning." Morgan's voice cracked. "He's already moved on. I haven't seen him in days." Claire stood. "Okay, then maybe now you understand what it feels like." She walked away. Morgan wept. The trial date loomed. Claire's team subpoenaed more evidence: emails, voicemails, server logs. They painted a picture of manipulation and theft. But the final blow came from an unlikely source: Adam's former assistant, Alex. He walked into Evelyn's office with a folder. "I kept this," he said. "Just in case. He made me send emails in Claire's name. She never knew. They used it to remove her from the board." The contents included forged documents, timestamps, and voice recordings. Claire was stunned. Evelyn grinned. "This isn't just betrayal. This is criminal fraud." Claire stood outside the courthouse as cameras flashed. She wore no makeup, no jewelry, just resolve. Evelyn walked beside her, whispering, "Tomorrow we end them." Claire nodded. No mercy. Adam arrived minutes later with Kyle. Morgan wasn't with him. She had fled the country the night before. Her attorney said she needed rehabilitation. The crowd booed as Adam entered the court. Claire didn't flinch. The courtroom was silent, tension humming like a taut wire. Claire sat at the plaintiff's table, her posture regal, her expression stoic. Adam occupied the defense side, flanked by Kyle and two junior associates. The judge, a no-nonsense woman named Judge Helena Brooks, reviewed the docket with pursed lips before speaking. This court is now in session. Claire Thompson versus Adam Brooks and Morgan Delaney. Civil proceedings involving fraud, embezzlement, defamation, and emotional distress. Claire felt her stomach tighten as Evelyn stood. Your Honor, the evidence we present today reveals a deliberate, calculated betrayal, not only of a marriage, but of a partnership, a legacy. My client was deceived, her rights manipulated, her trust weaponized. We seek justice, not vengeance, Kyle. Followed, his voice calm, rehearsed. We deny all malicious intent. Relationships end. Misunderstandings occur. What this case truly represents is a bitter personal vendetta, inflated to damage reputations. Claire resisted the urge to scoff. Misunderstanding? She had documents, audio, and scars. Day one unfolded like a dramatic play. Evelyn called witnesses with surgical precision. Alex, Adam's former assistant, was first. Yes, I was instructed to. Send emails under Claire's name. I was told she had approved them. But when I later saw evidence she hadn't, I knew it was wrong. Kyle tried to discredit him. And you waited how long to come forward? Alex met his gaze. Too long. Because I was afraid. Claire watched as jurors scribbled notes. Truth had weight, when spoken with regret. Next came the financial analyst, explaining how funds had been diverted to offshore accounts. The pattern shows deliberate concealment, a coordinated effort between Mr. Brooks and Ms. Delaney. Kyle objected, but the judge overruled. The evidence was admissible. Then came the bombshell. Play Exhibit 14B, Evelyn requested. The courtroom speakers crackled, then played Adam's voice. We delay the share payout till she signs. Once Claire's out, we divide the assets clean. She's too trusting to suspect. A gasp rippled across the room. Claire stared straight ahead. Kyle fumbled. That clip lacks context. The context, the judge snapped, is clear deception. Adam took the stand on day 4. Kyle prepped him thoroughly, but under Evelyn's cross-examination, cracks widened. Mr. Brooks, when exactly did your romantic relationship with Ms. Delaney begin? After Claire and I separated. Evelyn raised an eyebrow. So this photograph from 6 months earlier is what? Fabricated? Adam hesitated. It was a mistake, a one-time thing. One time? Your joint vacation reservations, hotel bills, and emails say otherwise, Kyle objected. Overruled. The jury watched Adam squirm. By the end of his testimony, Claire saw what she hadn't seen in months: fear in his eyes. Morgan's attorney submitted a psychiatric report claiming her client was unfit for court appearance due to extreme mental distress. Judge Brooks ordered her to appear via video. On screen, Morgan looked pale, her eyes hollow. Ms. Delaney, did you knowingly advise Mr. Brooks to transfer joint assets without Ms. Thompson's knowledge? I didn't know the full details. I was following Adam's lead. Were you aware Claire was still legally entitled to those assets? Pause. I should have been. So you acknowledge wrongdoing? A tear ran down her cheek. Yes. It was a quiet confession. But in court, silence is often the loudest admission. On the final day, Evelyn turned to Claire. Are you ready? Claire nodded and took the stand. She spoke without a script. I built a life with a man I trusted. I helped him rise, shared in every success and sacrifice. I welcomed my friend into that life, never imagining she'd help tear it down. But this isn't about heartbreak. It's about dignity. About refusing to be erased from my own story. I don't want revenge. I want acknowledgement. I want accountability. Her voice cracked only once. But the power behind her words lingered like smoke. After 4 days of deliberation, the jury returned. In the matter of Claire Thompson versus Adam Brooks and Morgan Delaney, we find the defendants liable for fraud, conspiracy to defraud, and emotional distress. We award the plaintiff full restitution of concealed assets, punitive damages amounting to $5 million, and sole ownership of the Thompson Brooks Foundation. Adam's shoulders dropped. Morgan sobbed on screen. Claire closed her eyes, breathing slowly, not because of the money, but because they were finally exposed. Adam filed for bankruptcy within weeks. Sponsors pulled out of his ventures. Morgan resigned from every board. The fallout was public, brutal, and unrelenting. Claire stayed. Quiet, no interviews, no celebrations. She returned to work, rebuilt the foundation under her sole vision, and hired women displaced by workplace betrayal. Months later, she walked into a seminar where she was invited to speak at. The applause was thunderous, not for her survival, but for her voice. She ended her speech with one line: "Scars aren't shameful, they're proof we healed." Claire visited her old house one last time before selling it. She walked through each room, touching walls like saying goodbye to ghosts. In the backyard where Adam had once proposed, she buried the wedding ring beneath the old maple tree. She didn't cry. She smiled, not because the pain was gone, but because she had faced it. A year later, Claire stood on the cover of Forbes Women under the headline, "Reclaimed: The Rise of Claire Thompson." And somewhere in a quiet cafe, a young woman opened that magazine, saw Claire's story, and whispered to herself, "Me too, because healing after all is contagious."